corporate media is getting really, really desperate to take down Bernie Sanders. He's had a round of good polls recently. Actually, this is the second round of good polls. For the past week and a half, 2 weeks, it's just been good poll after good poll after good poll for Bernie. In Iowa, New Hampshire, nationally, it's something else. So now I want you to ignore that and focus on fighting as if we're 10 points down, because overconfidence is our enemy for sure. So you got to keep fighting. You got to run through the tape. But the media is losing it. They're having a tantrum. They're having a conniption because they're like, oh my God, they're finally starting to realize at this late date, oh, he actually has a chance to win. So they're like, okay, all systems go, unleash the nukes. We're going nuclear on Bernie Sanders and his people. So here's the problem. Bernie Sanders has been in politics since roughly 1647. And he's been super consistent the entire time. He's had the exact same policy beliefs that he's advocated for, and all of those policies, almost all, I should say, maybe there's one or two that are not popular, but the overwhelming majority of his policies, right in line with mainstream American opinion if you look at the polls. Medicare for all, free college, living wage, end the wars, all super popular. They're super popular ideas. Legalize marijuana, so on and so forth. So what do you do when you got a guy who's really popular, really consistent, and it looks like he can win, but he would really overturn the corrupt system, really expose the charlatan frauds in the media for what they are? What do you do? How do you fight back against them when there's no ammo there? Got to make it up. So what's been the attempt recently? Oh, old white guy, therefore, let's hit him on race, let's hit him on gender, let's go all in on identity politics and political correctness, because that's got to be a weak spot, right? He's an old white dude. So obviously he has to have retrograde social beliefs. So Elizabeth Warren tried to say Bernie's sexist. That was the whole scandal recently. Oh my God, he's secretly super sexist or whatever. She went down in the polls, he went up in the polls. Why? Because people heard it and said, you're doing a hack smear job on him. I don't like it. The media has been going on Bernie bro narrative. Now they've put that into hyperdrive, and it is wild to see. So the Washington Post did an article. Sanders supporters have weaponized Facebook to spread angry memes about his Democratic rivals. Users are using mass posting technologies to flood Facebook with attacks on Elizabeth Warren and others. The New York Times also released a story exactly like this today. Guys, I kid you not. I'm not joking. I wish I was joking. The cornerstone of some of the arguments they're making, particularly in the New York Times article, they said this almost exactly. Tweeting a snake emoji at Elizabeth Warren, they call bullying. I wish I was kidding. They call tweeting a snake emoji at somebody running for president bullying. The narrative they have settled on or are going all in on is the Bernie bro narrative. Oh my God, so many of your supporters are so mean online. It's a national scandal and a tragedy. It's a tragedy and a national scandal. By the way, part of why they're doing this is also because all these professional media class people, the elite media people, they're establishment. They write pro-establishment stuff. And now, since we've democratized the national conversation with social media and Twitter, whenever they have bad takes, they get destroyed. Their mentions are just full of people going like, you're an idiot, you're a moron, you suck at this, why are you even doing this? Tweeting funny things at them and memes and GIFs and all types of stuff that if you scroll down after a shitty take from an establishment media person, you will laugh your ass off at just how destroyed they get. Now, instead of, having minimal self-awareness and going, is it me? Did I do something wrong? What do? They go in the other direction 100 miles an hour. I will never admit fault ever about anything. And obviously the mob that's coming after me has to be wrong. It's a lynch mob. And that's what they go with. And this is the result. The result is goofy articles like this where the whole point of these articles, I read them and they're stunning. They're like, and then in this pro Bernie Sanders Facebook group, they said mean things about Mayor Pete, and they said the CIA supports him, and they call him Mayo Pete. The whore! And they say Elizabeth Warren stabbed her friend in the back. Well, they say all these things because they're true. The CIA does like Mayor Pete. They retweet his stuff all the time. We do call him Mayo Pete because that's hilarious. It's called people being people and having fun. Mr., I fix bread prices and act like American Psycho, Christian Bale and American Psycho. In the case of Elizabeth Warren, yeah, she pretended like she was for Medicare for All. Then she backed off of Medicare for All. She acted like Bernie is her friend and her close friend. Then she accuses him, almost flat out says it, but just heavily implies, well, behind closed doors, he's actually kind of sexist. Right, the same guy who's been saying since 1987 in public on video that, oh, yeah, we need more women in politics, and it's changing, but not fast enough. That dude secretly behind the scenes is like, I don't know if you're cut out for the big leagues, toots. It's so absurd, so ridiculous. Guys, it ain't us, it's them. It ain't us, it's the candidates who are, imploding. They're self-destructing. And I have a news flash for everybody. We're currently in a Democratic primary, and a Democratic primary is for figuring out who we like best. So voters choosing who they like best, this is all part of the process. Yeah, Mayor Pete says something dumb, Elizabeth Warren says something dumb, Joe Biden barely coherent. We're allowed to point all that out in a democracy. We're allowed to have these discussions and make these jokes. That's allowed in a free and open conversation. But they don't want a free and open conversation. They want to go back to what it was like before, which is when there was no social media, not everybody had a voice. Only a select few elitists who went through the proper universities were able to get these jobs, yes. I'm from Cambridge. Actually, Cambridge is probably not the best example to use in the context of this conversation. I'm from Yale. I'm from Columbia. Yay. Where did you get your studies done, good sir? My grandfather, Thurston Howard IV, got me in on a legacy admissions. So they learn, this is how you get into the national conversation, this is how you stay in the national conversation, and now all those rules are gone. Everything they thought they knew, all the right opinions that they've adopted over the years, now useless because you have you guys out there on Twitter calling out their BS, and me here on YouTube saying whatever I want, being as free as any human being could possibly be while talking about politics. And turns out when people watch this show, they like it a lot more than reading your shitty articles, which obviously have an agenda that you're trying to push on people. Again, the difference between us and them, I tell you my biases up front. I tell you what my beliefs are up front. I'm not trying to hide anything. I've described myself as social democratic, populist left, libertarian left. You know exactly what my beliefs are across the board. So I'm upfront, I'm honest with that. I tell you my bias. I tell you Bernie Sanders is my favorite. Every single person who's writing these articles in the Washington Post and the New York Times and elsewhere, they all have somebody that they support and that they want to vote for. None of them disclose it at all. None of them. There are Kamala supporters. There were Beto supporters. There, Elizabeth Warren supporters, they're Biden supporters, Pete supporters. They all exist in mainstream media. None of them have told you ever who they support, and then furthermore, how that would flavor their coverage. Instead, they write these articles, and I love it. They try to pretend like they're really serious, as if they're like really providing a service and they're really official. Like if you look at the wording in the Washington Post article, it's hilarious. They're talking about people being mean and making jokes on Facebook, as if it's like a real national scandal that Bernie should feel really bad for, and as if we spoke to experts on this kind of culture from this university, and they say, and it's like, oh my God, you guys are trying to make this like an official sounding thing as opposed to what it is. An establishment media with sour grapes that their candidates are not the preferred candidates. So with every attempt that they come after us and try to take us down, they make us stronger. And I love, just like I said in a similar segment, it's hilarious to me because they're just like Donald Trump supporters. And my first response to that is no, because we disagree on the policy. We're like the polar opposite of Trump supporters. But furthermore, is the charge that we're going to win? They're like, he has an army of supporters online, which is kind of like Trump. And Trump rode that momentum into the White House. So they make this criticism, it doesn't even occur to them. Like, oh, maybe this isn't even really a criticism. It's like, oh my God, I'm acknowledging that this is the only person that has grassroots support. Guys, people are people. People are going to have fun. People are going to joke around. People like this. This became a meme. Remember with Steyer? He was like trying to say hi to him after Elizabeth Warren had approached Bernie, and he's on this, yeah, good, okay. That became a meme. That's so Bernie. He's like, yeah, good, okay. So people were using this a lot. Like, yeah, we're going to make fun of the candidates for silly things they say. You know, we're going to mock the ones that are mockable. We're going to point out the flaws in their policy beliefs. We're going to support our candidate. It's called engaging in politics. Not everything has to be, I'm so buttoned down and so serious. I never make jokes. Ever. Why? Then maybe you're just boring. Maybe you're just useless. Maybe your place in the national conversation is minuscule because of your own doing. You did that. You built that. You know, these legacy media outlets are struggling because this is the garbage that they write. It's endless. And they're not even trying anymore. Not even trying anymore. It's bullying to tweet snake emojis to Elizabeth Warren, and this culture has to stop. And by the way, always press the button. Misogyny, racism, bigotry. They're so misogynist, they're so bigoted, they're so racist all the time. Bernie Sanders is leading with women, and in some polls leading with people of color, definitely leading with people of color, younger people of color. They just erase all of those voices in one fell swoop. It's all the white bros. Like me? Oh my God, forget it. These guys despise me because I happen to be white and support Bernie Sanders. I happen to be male and support Bernie Sanders. So woo, I'm the embodiment of all that's wrong. But they just erase all the people of color, all the women who support Bernie. It's all the Bernie bros, toxic masculinity online, bad people, bad. Well, there's a reason why our campaign is surging. Because all of your yelping and moaning about political correctness and identity and all that stuff, it turns out actual human beings don't really care about the noise as much as they care about the fact that Bernie's going to eliminate their student loan debt. Bernie's going to eliminate their medical debt. Bernie's going to make sure we have free healthcare and free college in this country, and we catch up to every other developed country. Bernie's going to make sure we have a living wage. So all the noise you make, the rude people online, so mean, doesn't mean it doesn't amount to anything because people see right through it. They do. And by the way, it's also hilarious they are so vicious towards him and us. So vicious. If we respond to anything, it's immediately out of bounds and immediately racist and sexist and bigoted. They get to say anything about us, we're not allowed to even respond to them. They're endlessly vicious towards us, and then they turn around and write articles about how vicious we are for joking around online and having fun. Spare me your fake outrage. I'm done with it.